tax on poor, rural, working-class people that even an elitist like the Premier of Ontario understands is nothing more than a yuppie fad. The Liberal carbon tax plan is to impose punishing new regulations and taxes, a fact recognized by Dalton McGuinty.
Those across Canada are terrified of how Canadians will react to their leader's plan to impose a new carbon tax.
Senior Liberals are hinting that we are just one day away from the unveiling of the latest round of Liberals' tax trick. As the big day draws near, Canadians can look forward to a non-stop barrage of excuses.
There's an old saying that it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. But if the leader of the opposition formed government, if he imposed a carbon tax, our country would face a wall of darkness.
And shame.
We're all concerned about our national security.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately for the member from Vancouver South, the entire Liberal Party, the facts are actually clear, which is no security flags were raised in this particular matter.
Mr. Speaker, that's an alarming answer. It is actually...
Speaker, the only alarm are these alarming questions with ridiculous and unfounded speculation. Fact of the matter, Mr. Speaker, reduction, for example, in the GST, Mr. Speaker, what we will not do, and what will clearly hurt Canadian families, is to go around imposing carbon taxes at this time on all kinds of fuels. Mr. Speaker, I have to say this, the leader of the opposition told his own party during the leadership race that he would never impose the carbon tax. It was bad policy. It's not surprising all those leadership rivals have left the country this week.
Trick. It will raise the price of everything, including food, electricity, home heating, and gas at the pumps. It will devastate young families, seniors, and people on fixed incomes.
Secretariats, hey.
You understand that the Liberal slogan for the carbon tax is going to be shift happens. Mr. Speaker, I guess that means if you're an Air Canada worker who just lost your job because of high fuel prices, the Liberal message to you is shift happens. If you're an auto worker who's lost your job because people aren't buying SUVs and trucks, the Liberal message is shift happens. If you're a rural Canadian who heats your home with oil, their message is shift happens. So, Mr. Speaker, if the Liberals succeed with their carbon tax trick, Canadians are going to be shipped out of luck.
The honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, when will the cover-ups end?
Honourable Government House Leader.
The real question is, when will the false Liberal accusations end? False Liberal accusations in the Mayoralty campaign, we were cleared. False allegations with regard to the police investigation, we were cleared. In fact, it was the Liberal member who was accused by the OPP of having engaged in political interference. False accusations with regard to contracts, once again, cleared by the Ethics Commissioner. False Liberal accusations on NAFTA, once again, cleared. False allegations in the affair he mentioned at the very start, once again, cleared by the RCMP. Will they once, just once, acknowledge when they've made a mistake and made false Liberal accusations?
The honourable member.
While the Liberals' carbon tax will increase the cost of living for Northerners, the Conservatives actually increased the Northern allowance to help Northerners pay the bills. While they're busy thinking about how to increase costs for First Nations, we're getting the job done.
Act or maintained, but I have a warning for the member for British Columbia Southern Interior. There is a flood coming to his constituencies, like every constituency across this country, and it's disguised as a green tax shift, Mr. Speaker. It is a massive tax grab to pay for a spree of wasted wild spending that the Liberal Party wants to go on, Mr. Speaker. Please go back to your riding and warn Canadians about this incoming disaster.
Honourable member.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, as the Government House Leader has said on many occasions here, unfortunately, the Liberal opposition can only concentrate on imaginary scandals. But, Mr. Speaker, I can understand this, because they have to go home, Mr. Speaker, this summer in just a few days and start explaining to their constituents why they would want to impose a carbon tax, Mr. Speaker, on every single Canadian. Rather than deal with policy issues of substance, Mr. Speaker, they have to go home and tell their constituents why they missed 20 confidence votes. Mr. Speaker, they'll have a lot of explaining to do, but after all, Mr. Speaker, sometimes shift happens.
Honourable member.